Hey guys, John Lee Dumas here, founder and host of EO Fire, and you're listening to Bravepreneur Parents Academy with Balaji O.
Welcome to Bravepreneur Parents Academy, where the world's most inspiring entrepreneurs reveal their most defining childhood moments and share their legacy for raising brave little heroes who will grow up to change the world. And now, he still reads comic books under the blanket at bedtime. Please welcome your host, best-selling author, award-winning speaker, and self-confessed geek dad, Balaji O. You know, like the hotel in Vegas? Yeah, no, that's really his name. Balaji O.
All right, folks, we got an exciting one for you today. This morning, we are speaking with one of the most dynamic personalities on the parenting scene. Yes, I am talking about Maria Dismondy. She's a former teacher turned entrepreneur turned award-winning author turned sought-after speaker turned, should I go on? She's the lady behind the Juice Box Bully, Spaghetti in a Hot Dog Bun, Pink Tiara Cookies for $3, Chocolate Milk, Por Favor, and several other amazing books about bullying, empathy, confidence, and kindness with degrees in education and child development. With 10 years experience in education, she is a rock star in the classroom, on the stage, and even one of her books is being turned into a stage play. I can't say enough about this amazing mom. Please help me welcome Maria Dismondy. Welcome, Maria.
Oh my goodness, I'm smiling from ear to ear. Thank you.
Oh, wow. What a treat. This is a big, big honor. Thank you for coming to hang out with us today. You've been doing so much in the area of advocating for children. You really have a heart for children. How did you get into this in the first place?
Well, I started out as a teacher, and I was in my classroom and seeing what was happening with my students, their level of self-esteem, their concerns about how other people viewed them based on clothing, based on their hair. And I thought, this is ridiculous. 5- and 6-year-olds, I taught first grade, they need to be concerned about things like, you know, if they're going to play on the monkey bars or they're going to go down the swing or the slide. Right. And so I thought, you know, I'm making a difference in the lives of like 25 kids by teaching. What can I do that will reach a greater audience? And I don't have a really great voice, although I love to sing. And I thought, well, so I'm not going to be out there as a musician. What about writing books? And English was one of my majors in college, and I love writing. I love reading, so I went for it, and I started writing children's books.
Fascinating, fascinating. You know, Maria, I have a lot of teachers in my family. That is one of the most honorable professions. So first and foremost, thank you for serving our children in that capacity.
Oh, thank you. No, I value teachers so much. Now that I'm out of the field even, I look back and we need them. We depend on them.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. You know, a lot of teachers, particularly for those younger children, might have aspirations of one day writing a book. I've actually run into a number of teachers who've met me as an author or who know my kids, and they talk about wanting to write a book. You actually were able to make that transition, and not only did you publish a book, you made the leap. You changed professions. What was that like for you?
You know, it was scary. There was a lot of fear involved, and but I'm learning as I grow older that fear is just fear. So you can do what you want with it, but it's it can hold you back or it can move you forward. So I chose to let that fear move me forward. So the business started getting really busy, and then I had a daughter, and I went back to teaching part-time, and I wasn't feeling like that was a fit for me anymore. I wanted to be home with my daughter, and I wanted to be working on this career, this, you know, entrepreneurship of making a difference. And so I resigned from teaching in 2011, and that was really hard to officially say I'm walking away. And then I started seeing the benefit of what I was doing, and I quickly was okay with my decision.
That is amazing. That's great. You know, there's a theme there. You talked about just sort of believing in yourself and having that confidence to make the leap. And this really ties into some of the books that you've written. You talk a lot, not only about bullying, which I do want to get into, but you talk about self-confidence. Why did you pick that topic? And is that something that for first graders we actually need to be thinking about?
Absolutely. I chose the topic because I have diaries from when I was younger. It's my favorite type of writing. I have 19 completed diaries.
Wow.
And looking back on the diaries and what I said and what I was concerned about at my young age of first and second grade, that's what I was thinking about. I was worried about what other people thought of me, and I just really was hard on myself. And you know, as a grown-up now, I think, oh, don't sweat the small stuff. I wish I could talk to my former self. And so now I'm using this as a platform to talk to other children. And as I told you, you know, I usually had about 25 students in my classroom. I sat down the other day and looked at my speaking engagements from this year alone. And then I looked up school numbers and I was calculating how many kids have I gotten in front of this year. And it was average 25,000 kids.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that's just so awesome. I'm so excited about it.
1,000-fold.
Yeah, totally. So
unbelievable. Well done, Maria.
Yeah, but I do think that for young children, those impressionable ages from birth all the way up till age 6 is huge. Just filling them with confidence, believe who you are. Like, this is the way you were made, and love who you are. And I just can't say that enough to parents, to tell their children that.
Okay, Maria, so I understand that one of your books, Spaghetti in a Hot Dog Bun, is actually based, at least that title, is based on something real from your childhood. Tell me your sister did not actually eat spaghetti in a hot dog
Well,
bun.
I did, buddy. That's right. Right here. Along with liverwurst and pickled herring. We had we had an interesting palate, my sister and I. So my mom packed us interesting lunches, and we were teased for it. And so that book is based loosely off of my childhood experiences that I had.
So help me out now, because a lot of the folks listening are entrepreneurs. They are go-getters. They're parents. They like to try to invest in personal development. They want to become better parents. And they've got kids sometimes around the same ages as yours and mine. They're in those early grades. What if you have a child that is being teased in school, or a child that is very self-conscious about what other people think? How can you actually coach your child beyond that point?
Well, first you have to be your child's advocate. And being your child's advocate, that means that, one, you realize your child might be at fault, right? So your child might be bullied, and in the same respect, your child might be doing the bullying too. So I think being your child's advocate is realizing that, you know, your child may make mistakes, and to partner with the school. So getting in touch with the school, seeing what's the story, what's happening, what can you do with the school, with the teaching staff to help your child? What can you be doing at home? There's two main things that I usually recommend to parents, because I'm all about being realistic, buddy. I have 3 young children, and, you know, we're busy people. Life is busy. And what can you realistically do to help your child? One is to pick up really good children's literature. And if you're not sure which books you should be reading, I recommend a ton of books on my blog. There's Pinterest. You can go on Pinterest and just search a keyword like bullying or self-esteem or loneliness, and children's picture books come up. The reason I recommend children's picture books is because it takes your child out of their situation and shows you how someone else might have handled it. And it gives them this imaginary situation. So then when it's happening to them, they can say, oh, I remember how Pete in the juice box bully handled this situation. So it just gives them a different, situation to think back on. And it also helps parents because, you know, it's been a long time since we've been 5, 6, and 7-year-olds. So you can pick up really good children's literature, and you have this connection between you and your child. You can read that story sitting down with them, and it's going to give you immediate discussion. So that's my first suggestion. And the second suggestion is role model. So you want to act as a really good role model. So I'm not going to stand in front of the mirror and say to my husband, do I look fat today? Because you know what? That is not the model I want my children to see. So I'm going to put my Spanx on, and I'm going to keep my comments to myself, you know. But you really, parents are shocked at the way their children are treating others or the way these kids are behaving at school, but we need to look at how we're behaving.
Wow.
Part of being a role model is helping your child with words. So giving your child specific role plays. So maybe your child comes home and says, Mom, someone said to me, called me a name, and here's the name. And you could say to your child, wow, do you want to hear how I may have handled that? Let me give you a couple ideas, and then let me know what you think you might try. And coach your child. Have them practice the words. Why don't you be your child, and then, everybody takes a role, and you actually act out the situation and give them words to use. And you don't want the words to be hurtful when they're talking to someone being mean, but they want to be confident. So in that situation, I might have my child say something like this. Oh gosh, I'm sorry you feel that way about me. I'm going to choose to play with someone else and walk away. So just, I'm not being sassy. But I'm saying, gosh, that's too bad you feel that way about me. I know that I'm not that word you're calling me, and so I'm going to go play with other people. So those are two things, really, being a role model and helping with role playing, and then reading good children's literature to provide examples.
I think those are really, really brilliant, very actionable. Mm-hmm. And like with most things in life, like we teach our kids, you won't necessarily be great at it, at the role playing, and neither will your child when they first start. But with practice, everybody's going to get better.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That is interesting. So I find that very useful for situations where my child perhaps is already in a situation. Something's already happened, and I kind of coach them through how to handle it next time. Although with reading the books, that might even allow you to preemptively give them some tools.
Absolutely, yes.
So I like that. But what about the issue of low self-confidence or low self-esteem? If you have a child, perhaps your child is a bit more introverted, like I was. I'm still an introvert. Perhaps your child is a bit shy around strangers or in new environments. I'm sure you've run into that with all the kids that you've been able to teach and coach and mentor and mother. What are some ways, Maria, by which you're able to kind of get those kids out of their shell?
Well, one way would be to help them to discover, and I'll go along the lines with your theme, is help them to discover what is their superpower. What is something that they bring to the world? What is something that they're really good at? So, for example, my daughter isn't super good at sports. She's tried a couple different sports and she doesn't really like it. And she's got kind of like two left feet, but she's amazing at the piano. And so if she didn't know that, I would show her that. Like, this is something that you are really good at. And ask your child, what do you think you're good at? Another thing would be to give your child responsibility. I think that really helps to build your self-worth. So instead of doing things for your child, packing their lunch and packing their backpack and picking out their clothes, give them the opportunity to do those things. That shows them that, you know what, I am really responsible and I am worthy of picking out my clothing and doing these things. I think oftentimes when we hover and we do too much for our children, it shows them that, you're not good enough to do this, so I'm going to do it for you. And so I think that message kind of comes through to some children who have that lower self-esteem. So those would be two examples. And the third one would be encourage your child to take some small itty-bitty steps towards, being less fearful and taking chances. So it might be something very simple like, today, who are you going to sit by at lunch? And maybe your child's like, I don't want to sit by anyone. I'm too nervous. I'm too scared. And just really work with them to make baby steps. Well, maybe you should sit by someone in your class and maybe just kind of sit by them and don't talk about it yet. And then maybe the next day you can say hi to them. So I think, really being, helping them with slow steps. Don't throw them into the wolves. Especially children who, like you said, are not as confident and more introverted.
That's really good. That's really good. Maria, I'm reminded of a situation that I went through with my 8-year-old just yesterday. So my 8-year-old plays soccer, and he finished playing his game with the other 8-year-olds, and he always wants to hang around and play some more. So there were some older kids, 12 to 14 years old, probably playing a game. And so I took my son, we jumped in there, we were playing, and at a certain point, our team got a corner kick. We earned a corner kick. Now, my son runs right to the corner, grabs the ball, and he's ready to play the corner kick. But I can see some of the older kids looking at him like, kid, you're kind of small. You sure you're going to be able to kick it far enough? So what did Dad do? Dad said, no, come on over, let one of the bigger kids kick the ball. And you should have seen his face just fall, Marie. And I instantly knew I'd done the wrong thing. It would have been better for me to let him take the kick, and even if it was short, give him some encouragement. So that was Daddy making a little mistake, and I just got to confess that.
No, and I love that because that's what parenting is all about. We're going to learn every single day. There's no, there's not a manual that we received, and so I love that you reflected on it and that you said, gosh, if I had to do that over again, I would have given him that chance.
Yeah, and perhaps that reflected a little bit on me, something that a lot of us parents tend to do. My parents did it. My mom still does this, Maria. My mom does not want me to fail at anything, like anything. She doesn't want me to get hurt. She doesn't want me to take any risks. If I could live in a bubble, my mother would prefer to do that. How should we parents how do we balance it between letting our kids take risks so they can grow, but also protecting them?
Oh gosh, I don't know if this is a good question for me because I just read a book that was called I'll let you know later so you can put it in the show notes. Something about the art of failure or letting them fail. So I just read a parenting book that talks about giving your children the opportunity to take risks and to fail, and then to sit back and let them have that experience. I think that's very challenging as a parent. So if your son did take that risk and then you saw him fail, which would be harder, to see his defeat or to see that he couldn't try? So I think that's a tough one for me because I'm really working on that right now. My daughter left her homework folder at home just it was a couple weeks ago. And I thought, gosh, should I drive it to school? No, this is an experience for her. And by golly, the minute she walked in from school, she said, oh my goodness, Mama, I forgot my homework folder. I don't think she'll ever forget it again because she had that experience. So I think the balance between, I think it's important to give them those opportunities. Now, I think when safety is an issue, I'm not going to let my children fail, right? Because my job is to keep them healthy and to keep them safe. So I think to find a balance, you have to think the big question as a parent would be, can they learn from this in a healthy way? Can they learn responsibility from this? Can they learn, certain character traits from this experience, and then that will help you determine whether or not you're going to let them try.
I like that. Maria, on a personal note, and we're going to go into the lightning round in just a minute. We're going to go talk about your childhood and figure out how you became this dynamic and amazing superhero. But I want to hear a little bit about how you learned the importance of believing in yourself.
Okay, as an adult or as a child?
Either one or both. Let's get into it.
So, as an adult, there were certain things that I wanted to try, like running. I wanted to take up the sport of running, but in my past, I had always heard kids say to me I had short legs, and you'll never be able to run far, you'll never be able to run fast. So I always had this hesitation to run. And then in my mid-20s, a friend said, hey, do you want to run a 5K with me? And I was very hesitant. I said, I really can't run. I'm short. And she said, do you believe that? And I thought, oh, that does sound kind of silly. So I took up the sport of running and I followed all of the training manuals out there. I did everything they told me to do and I was successful. And so that was a really enlightening experience for me to see that if you stay the course and you believe in yourself despite the odds, yes, I'm 4'11", and I had just taken up this sport, I think it can be pretty powerful. So I ended up running a marathon and crushing my time. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And I've since hung up my marathon training because I have 3 children and it's just not something I'm interested in right now all the time in training, but definitely learned from that experience about believing in yourself.
Wow. Way to go.
Thank you.
That's really good. Marathon is one of the things I've always wanted. This is one of the things I always wanted the result. I see myself at the finish line. I just don't want to do all that practice.
I know the work. I know.
The work. So I think I've accepted now. I've come to accept myself that, okay, marathon running, because you're not willing to do the work, that's okay. That's not going to be one of the things that you check off your bucket list. Go work on the other things where you're willing to invest. And that actually is a lesson that I'm learning more as I get to teach my kids the value of practice.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
My kids are talented at certain things. Like my 8-year-old plays a lot of soccer. He plays a lot of piano. He's talented in both areas. So he's used to just being good.
Mm-hmm.
But it's gotten to the point where, okay, we're over you being good. So now we know what your real potential is, buddy. Now you actually have to put in the work. And he's not always crazy about putting in the work.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, that's something I learned, and I don't want to jump all over the place, but as a child, that is something that my dad taught me was work ethic. And, I was young when I got my first job, and I took the school bus, and I took a different route on the school bus, and I was dropped off at this chicken place where I worked. And my dad said, I'm going to front you the money to buy your first car, and you're going to pay me back once a month until you pay all the money back. And I was like, all right,
wow.
that's sweet. So, and he said, however, if your payment is late, you're going to have a late fee. And I was like, what? That's ridiculous. And I was late a few times, and he charged me like a $25 late fee.
Wow.
But how many times have I been late on my mortgage, on my credit cards? I learned a lot from that experience.
Wow.
And I learned that if you put the work in, that you can save up for something important to yourself. So that was, and my dad was such a good example. My dad never graduated from college, but my dad has work ethic, and he's a successful person. So.
What a great story. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I learned a lot from my dad. That was great.
That is really, really cool. I love that. That's beautiful. So, okay, Maria, we're going to put you into the lightning round because you've just given us a glimpse into how the great Maria Dismondy came to be who she is today. But we want the nitty-gritty. We want the details. So if you're ready, we're going into the lightning round.
Let's do it.
All right, Maria, favorite superhero?
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. I love it. She's a classic. Favorite cartoon growing up?
The Smurfs.
Oh, the Smurfs. Love the Smurfs. Favorite family tradition?
Oh, holidays. Midnight Mass.
Yeah?
Midnight Mass was always a good time. Everyone was super tired, but we pulled through, and being together as a family, we would take up like 2 to 3 rows or pews, you would call it. Loved Midnight Mass.
Oh, that's great. That's great. What perhaps was one embarrassing moment, Maria, that you had as a child? What still sticks out for you?
That's the only question I did not answer. I could not think of an embarrassing moment. But I will tell you, there was one time I went to a Catholic school, and we had to wear uniforms. And I do remember one day going to school wearing my uniform, and my mom not remembering or telling us that it was like wear your own clothes day, and I was so embarrassed. So I guess, but I couldn't think of anything. That was a hard one.
Well, that's good. That's good. Do you? What are some things that your parents did that you have adopted in your parenting style?
So definitely my dad, his work ethic and instilling responsibility, he gave me those opportunities to do things so that I could feel more responsible and independent. And then as far as my mom was just so kind and loving. And my mom was of service to a lot of people. So my mom worked as a housekeeper at a retirement home, and my mom went above and beyond and was friends with the residents there and did things outside of her role and her job description to help them. And so I see myself as a parent. I'm working closely with the retirement home in our community, and we do a lot of events there so that we can share kindness with those residents. So I see that coming through in a lot of my parenting, just teaching my children about kindness, and that comes from my mother.
Wow. That is beautiful. Maria, why is it that kindness and empathy are so important to you? I mean, certainly no parent wants other kids being bullied. But you've placed such an emphasis on kindness and empathy. Why is that?
Well, I've been reading and researching since I started this in, I think it was like 2007, 2008. And we're seeing bullying increases, right, in schools, but we're seeing a decrease in empathy and kindness. And so, some researchers have said that, is it because there are so many more working parents and people are just overloaded and they're not having the time with their own kids? We don't really know why, but we do know there's a lack of empathy, and that if we have more empathy in schools, if kids can say, gosh, if I were in that person's shoes, how would I feel? They are less likely to bully. They won't do it. If they can think outside of their bubble and say, how would it feel to be that person? And the same with kindness. And I'm thinking of kindness from the bystander perspective. So if someone is standing by and they see someone else being bullied, stand up for that person and show kindness and help them out, be a problem solver. So that's why I really think I'm targeting those two character traits, empathy and kindness, because I want to not only reduce the bullying and I want to change the behavior of the bully, but I also want those bystanders to say, no way, we're a team, we're going to help out our friends, we're going to stand up to this bad behavior.
I love that. And I want to know, just to give our parents one really solid tip for increasing that empathy and kindness in their kids. You've already given great examples of just being a good role model because our kids are watching us. You've talked about role playing. Is there something else that we can do, Maria, that can increase our kids' ability to empathize?
Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you what it is. It's called try, say, do. And it's actionable. So if there's a situation, you sit down with your child and you say, okay, try to understand how that person is feeling. So let me give you a basic example. Let's say your baby sister is going to the doctor to get vaccinations. Try to understand how that child is feeling. How is your sister feeling? Scared, nervous, unsure? Try, say. Now you say something. You acknowledge your sister's feelings. This is a huge step. Think about it as an adult. How good does it feel when someone acknowledges how you feel? I love it.
Doesn't happen often.
No. So you acknowledge, you say, hey, sis, you're feeling nervous, you're scared. Try, say, do. So it's a 3-step process. Now, this is where adults and children don't do the do. They drop off at try pretty much. So now you do something. Take action. What can you do to help your sister in this situation? Go with her to the appointment. Hold her hand, tell her, you're going to get a little pinch and then you'll get a sucker afterwards. I don't know what it is, but try to really take action, offer friendship, and do something to help. So that is what I would do. As a child comes home and there's a situation, really work through it by using those 3 steps, try, say, and do.
I love that. That is very powerful and actionable. I'm going to start doing that with my kids. Well, we have to let Maria get out of here, but not before we have her answer the time capsule question. So, Maria, this one is a bit of a doozy. Don't get mad at me, but we're going to pretend for a minute that it's 20 or 30 years from now. So let's say it's the year 2045, and your 3 beautiful children are out of the house. They're well-adjusted. They're happy. They've got their own kids. Beautiful life. What would you like to say to your kids right now? They're going to get to listen to this in their 30s, late 30s, 40s. What would you like to say to them about this point in your life? Why you and your husband did the things you did? Why you invested so much time and energy in these books and mentoring these kids and teaching kindness? Why you kept so many of the things your parents taught you? Why you poured into your children the way you do? Talk to them right now for me, Maria. Tell them what you want them to hear.
Oh, I love this. I would say to my children, leave a legacy. Leave a legacy in the work that you do. Put passion behind the work that you do. And I'm not just talking about work outside of the home. Leave a legacy in your home. In your marriage needs to be top priority, you and your husband, and leave a legacy with your children. Put 150% into nurturing and raising your children, because before you know it, they're going to be out of the house and they're going to be on their own. So 150% passion, leave a legacy in the work that you do outside of the home and the work you do with your children and your marriage.
Wow. Wow. Those are 3 very lucky children. Maria, this has been amazing. You're making us up our game. I love this.
I'm so happy to have been here today. Thank you for interviewing me.
This has been amazing. Folks, we've been talking to the dynamic Maria Dismondy. She's coming soon to a stage near you, okay? She's the award-winning author of The Juice Box Bully and several other amazing books about bullying, empathy, confidence, and kindness. If you didn't know Maria before this, you and your kids will know her now. Definitely pick up her books. I love working with this lady. She's going to be a fixture in this industry for many years to come. Maria, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Until tomorrow, we'll see you same time, same place on the Bravepreneur Parents Academy. Up, up, and away!
Welcome to Bravepreneur Parents Academy, where the world's most inspiring entrepreneurs reveal their most defining childhood moments and share their legacy for raising brave little heroes who will grow up to change the world. And now, he still reads comic books under the blanket at bedtime. Please welcome your host, best-selling author, award-winning speaker, and self-confessed geek dad, Balaji O. You know, like the hotel in Vegas? Yeah, no, that's really his name. Balaji O.